Welcome.
Hi, Tyler.
Hi, Wilson. Hi, Eric.
Hello.
What are we watching
Hello,
today,
Eric.
Wilson?
We're watching Toys.
And you have brought this up, I don't know how many times, when we would do a movie like watch through,
Yeah.
or reel to reel.
Yeah.
You definitely wanted to do Toys at one point.
Yeah.
You did Popeye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Oh, baby.
And now we have to do another Robin Williams movie.
Have to, as if you're subjected to the glory of that man's performance.
There might be a theme going with your picks here.
No, I've had other picks that were not Robin Williams related.
So we have Toys. Tell me about Toys.
Toys.
When did you first watch Toys?
Oh my God, when I was like 7,
7?
8, pretty young still.
It stuck with you?
I don't even remember. I think I just got it because Robin Williams was on the cover with that like cutout from his hat, and I was like, "Oh, that's weird."
Where's
and the
his
movie
hat?
was called Toys, so I was like, "Cool, let's watch Robin Williams movies called Toys."
Sure.
It's a weird,
Yeah.
weird movie. I think like
I caught some of it on TV when I was a kid, and it weirded me out, and I never watched it.
I think
until
I
was
think I
older.
watched it when I was probably way too young too.
there's a
weirded me
lot.
out. Didn't watch it.
There's a lot to appreciate
Too
about this
much
movie.
older.
Yeah.
I think from the small taste that I gave you guys like a little while ago.
Small taste.
Robin Williams.
Blink-182 Toys. Yeah, from the small taste that I gave you before, I think you got us like a little bit of an idea of some of the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's the shallow end, and it goes to the deep end.
How many times have you seen this?
How many fingers do I have?
I am assuming 10.
Many more than that.
Many more.
Time
than-
immemorial.
Lots of these. Lots of 10.
So at least once a year? Twice a year?
I don't think you understand what my like renting habits were like as a child.
Oh, so you watched it like every week?
You know how little kids
For, like-
are? They want to watch the same shit all the time.
Oh no, I know. Hey, I have
So
a daughter
it
that
wouldn't-
watches Boss Baby
It was
every
not
day.
so much.
Yeah.
The,
That's what I'm
it was not
saying.
so much the frequency. It was that every single time that we went to the movie store.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the ones I brought back.
Yeah. I had an issue with my dad going to the video store and picking up the same movie, and it was coincidentally Bicentennial Man.
Toys. Oh.
So like he went and
That's
got it.
a fucking.
That's a.
He went.
You gotta do that
I
one.
gotta-
So he
Gotta fucking do.
he went and got it one week, and then like a couple months went by, and he just goes out another Friday, comes back with Bicentennial Man again. I was like, you rented this not too long ago.
Dad, I thought we'd been through.
Did you watch this? And he kind of just looks at me like, oh, brain fart, or like probably Alzheimer's
Braveheart?
or something.
What?
Like he's just like,
First I
I
thought
thought you liked
that said
Bicentennial Man, son.
Braveheart.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, Braveheart.
Oh,
I was
Braveheart.
no,
what?
brain
Like
fart.
Braveheart?
Like
Dad,
he had a
the-
big brave heart, and he's just.
So this,
I was like-
this just kept happening.
So I'm like, I made him go back. I'm like, no, we're not watching Bicentennial Man again. Fucking
had-
go get your money back or get something else. Like this is bullshit.
We had enough times of my dad either not knowing what to get, not being able to find what we were looking for if we weren't with him, or
He gets
like,
porn?
just grabbing something that we're like, I want to see that. That like it was always being my mom that would go in,
Yeah,
and my dad would just stay in the car, and we'd walk around and fucking was like,
yeah. You guys have a better idea of taste.
yeah. But we were the real movie people.
There you go.
My
Yeah,
dad doesn't hate movies, but he can't sit still for that long.
yeah. My dad just
It's hard for him
watches
to keep attention.
action films. Like he watches.
Yeah,
I don't know
he
how many
can
times
watch
he's
that.
he's seen Underworld.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of TNA in there, so like it's
My
good
dad
for.
could watch a good action movie. That's why like
Yep.
every time a Bond movie comes out or
There you go.
something, me and him always go to that.
Yep. I brought my dad and my brother to Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind
Huh.
in the theaters, and I think my dad was like falling asleep,
Yeah.
and he was like, "What the fuck? I thought this was gonna be like Jim Carrey, funny, like,
On-
like it's a fun movie."
On
Yeah.
Christmas Eve one year, right after eating our meal, my family decided that we were all going to watch Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
Oh, Tinker Tanger Pangerfly.
Time to fall asleep. To
I
that.
saw about 5 minutes of that movie, and then I was because I had just eaten
That is
this
a
big old
snoozer.
meal of turkey and shit, and then I was like, "Oh, Gary Oldman." Like that movie, yeah, it might be really good and really interesting.
There's some good
I would
like
know it is
yeah.
slow and
very slow.
quiet.
It's the same
and
guy that made
just-
was it Snowman that just came out? Like
I thought it was the same director as the one that did the King's Speech.
Do you want
But I
a
don't know.
Tinker Tailor?
I don't remember.
But yeah,
Tanker Tanker Slanger.
So Toys has a great little cast,
and nobody will understand what renting is anymore.
You can still rent on like
Redbox.
Amazon and shit. And
No,
Redbox.
but physically going somewhere out of your car.
Physically going to a store
Yeah.
that just had a bunch of physical copies of movies on the wall, and you just walked around and looked at them and be like,
hey kids,
that looks nice.
If you're watching this and you don't understand what renting is, go to your local shaman, ask him about the legend of Blockbuster, and get ready to be regaled. But Toys has a great little cast. As we previously mentioned, it has Mr. Robin Williams, a Michael Gambon, actually, as the villain of the movie. LL Cool J.
Yeah, such a fun cast
Ladies
for this.
love
Joan
Cool James.
Cusack.
All right.
Joan Cusack.
And I'm pretty sure
God, I hate Joan
that the
Cusack.
guy who's
I'm
like...
sure she's a perfectly lovely woman, but I just can't stand her.
Well, to each their own.
Yeah.
And then there's the guy who is like an old dude who's like an assistant or something like that. You'll know which character I'm talking about. Correct me once we get into this. I think he also played from Hook, who loses his marbles. Fuck.
Oh, Peter?
No.
Toodles?
Toodles.
Toodles?
The old man who's like the caretaker at Grandma Wendy's house. He's like, I think I've lost my marbles.
Oh, that guy. Yeah.
I think it's the same actor. I'm trying to think of any other notable people in the movie. Robin Wright as the love interest.
Wow, yeah.
I like me some Robin Wright.
Princess
She's
Buttercup.
awesome.
And I think that there's somebody else of note that might be Sean's dad from Boy Meets World.
Oh, yeah, the dude who plays Slinky in fucking Toy Story now.
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah.
And
it's not...
He was also that Cajun ass motherfucker
in Waterboy.
Yep.
Waterboy.
Like, dang, oh man, what, you like to see homos naked?
No,
No, man.
naked.
Man, likes to see homos naked. Doesn't help me.
But I think that if I'm right, if it is that guy, regardless of who the actor is, that person is the subject of my favorite line of this movie and one of my favorite lines in all of film.
Well, let's just jump into this
We'll
film.
find out about it after the viewing. We're going to jump in and watch some fucking Toys. 1992, I believe, Robin Williams.
Right in your butt.
And now, our feature presentation.
Oh, cow.
What the fuck is happening?
I told you.
Salute that shit, yeah. That Chungus flying in the sky.
Not like you can see the wire or anything.
No, I can't tell if it's on a helicopter or what.
Yeah.
That was Toys. Oh my god. Wilson.
Hello,
Jesus.
Toys.
So, your thoughts now, after watching it for the 100th time?
I'm glad I did.
You glad?
I'm glad I did. I'm glad that I was able to expose the twos of yous to this.
Yeah, I don't know. At a certain point, there's a lot of lulls, I think.
There's highs and lows. Like it's definitely.
You get the premise right off the bat. Like, yeah, this guy comes in, tries to shake things up a bit. Nobody really likes the changes.
Not everybody likes it. Yep.
And then it turns out, like, even his son, his adoptive son, or his actual biological son,
Biological, I believe.
Biological Willy.
his son doesn't approve either. And then he decides to turncoat and go with
Robbie. Robbins.
Leslie. And help him overthrow his own dad.
Yeah. This movie, it lulls you into a sense of innocence for a while, and all of a sudden it's just like, and you're like, oh,
Well,
fuck, I forgot.
Yeah, it goes balls to the wall crazy.
It goes very, I don't even want to say like soft horror. I don't know what to call it. Like just very like stark
Suspense.
contrast in tones.
Thriller.
from the beginning to the end.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
it just gets dark. Yeah.
Goes
There's-
off the wall, out of the box,
Yeah.
into the blue, beyond the pale.
What do you think the theme of this movie is?
I was
the
literally thinking
seduction
that.
of the innocent.
I was literally thinking that. How?
Corruption of the innocent.
How?
Well, that's like the war they're fighting essentially. Robin just
That's
wants
true.
the
You can see that.
the innocent, fun, happy toys, and his uncle wants to corrupt it, and it's basically like wants to keep kids innocent where he's trying to corrupt the kids.
Sure.
There was that. They brought kids in by like school bus and
Yeah.
How many points do you get for blowing up people?
Yeah, the toys should be fun. They shouldn't be used like this.
Yeah.
yeah, this was like a brainwashing tool.
Yeah.
A perversion of some of his beliefs and also the legacy that his father left him and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mainly just wanted to show this to you because it's such a unique piece of film. Like, I've never seen anything like it.
No, and
And
there
I-
hasn't been anything. Let's get off and go. How about that?
It's like with the cast, like I never knew as a kid that was Michael Gambon.
Mm-hmm.
Then last week or whenever we kind of like watched a couple minutes, I was like, holy shit! My entire childhood, it's been Michael Gambon. It's been Dumbledore.
Well, then, like we pointed out,
and
Oh,
he's like playing the villain,
Yep.
and it's just weird for me to like, I don't know, see him in that light.
like we pointed out too, like multiple times, there's a lot of it's that guy's in this movie too.
Yeah, like when Jamie Foxx just pops
Yeah,
in.
Jamie Foxx,
J.B. Fox,
early acting role,
Yeah.
Baker.
Yeah, he had a title. Yeah.
and fucking Sean's dad from Boy Meets World is fucking Hogan Stern.
Hmm.
Shut it down,
Shut it down, Hogan Stern.
Hogan Stern. I said,
Shut it down.
Shut it down. Hogan
So
Stern.
his main focus, this 3-star general,
Yep.
he was wanting to create a toy that was like
Oh, okay,
a
so
biological weapon.
Well-
since war was essentially done with the fall of communism, this is how they presented it. He's lost and has nothing to do, and he's just like, I can revolutionize things and maybe make some scratch off this, and fucking we can keep Eternal War going if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Just a video game
At first, he was like, I'm going to make the best of the situation and, like, make toys, but I'm going to make the kind of toys that I want, war toys. And then there was pushback from the company and also, like, just from multiple sources. So he was like, you know what, sure, whatever. I'm just going to actually, like, go full throttle and try to make, like,
He has a
the world's best
realization.
drone, basically.
Okay.
And,
So I think we got.
And then that scene with the green skeletons,
Yeah.
that was him trying to sell the idea to Washington
Yeah,
to
to
use
the
in, like, the
military.
military.
He got upset with him. He got
'Cause he
petulant.
was like, why spend millions of dollars on a plane?
Yeah.
That's just gonna sit there where you can spend $5,000 on this fucking drone ass helicopter that you could just send in and have someone fucking playing it like
instead
a
of
video game.
like $500 million for one stealth bomber, $5,000 a piece for these little like toy-sized helicopters and tanks that will be able to kill people.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
his whole
funny because
point.
some of this stuff has kind of actually come to happen.
Yeah.
Because they are moving towards that
Mm-hmm.
war-wise, and then also like think about like, oh shit, kids are playing a lot of war games. You
Yeah.
thought about it, like shit, they are playing.
Well, he
all
does
the
say
Call of Duties
wars
and-
changed.
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting.
All right. Well, I think we got a good grasp of like the ideas and themes and kind of basic story structure.
It's a very visually stunning movie, not in the way
Let's
that it's,
get
like,
into that.
shot or
Let's
anything.
get into like the
They
Like,
very
set
much
design.
went all out on the sets.
Yeah.
There's a lot of huge
Costumes and
wide
sets.
shots and focus on set pieces because of obviously they put a lot of work into it.
Yeah.
Some of them, like the like you pointed out, their house or whatever.
Yeah.
That first shot of them in the house, it looks like a set for like a play. Like it has fake drapes. It's just like wood that's painted to look like drapes.
Well, and
All
also-
the pictures are flat against the
was
wall. They're
like-
not actual frames.
Super even lighting, and
Yeah.
just with the like depth of where some people were, like one person in the foreground, one person in the background, not looking at anybody or doing anything, but just like
Yep.
sat.
And it looks like painting.
Yeah, it looked like a painting,
Yep.
and the sets and the costumes.
I think
were
you could take-
really
They're very
over the top.
composed shots.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's that saying, every frame a painting. Like
Yeah.
if you can pause a frame, or I would just say pause a scene of this movie, it can be a really nice painting.
I really think that looking at concept art or storyboards for this movie would be interesting, just to see how
Oh,
much
yeah.
effort went into that alone, like the art, the design aspect.
Yeah, look into the production of like who came up with those concepts, like the
Who-
duck bed.
Yeah, well, was
Tuck bed,
was
yeah.
all that the hill room,
Yep.
everything, the main work floor with all the different like stations.
Mm-hmm.
Who
The rooms that compress and everything.
Yeah, like who it was the driving force behind all those creative ideas?
Yeah.
Was
The
it
set
director?
designer.
The
Was it-
stair,
Who?
the stairway that has the lever.
Yeah, because every single thing. By the end of the movie, like the setting of this place, it's really all inside of the toy factory except for like
The house.
the house, like the family house, Robin Wright's house, and the arcade are basically the only other stuff that and like exterior
The
stuff.
general tent.
But it all happens around. Well, that's like I think that's
General
supposed to
tent is
be
like a separate
in
room
a
of the
room
house.
that's
Okay.
in either the house or the factory or something.
Yeah, it looks like it's in like the foyer of the house.
But this
Stuff like
world
the
feels
chairs they
very
sat
like
in, too.
realized, but also dreamy in a way, like
Yeah.
fake and separate from anything that we know, but like super thought out, fleshed out, and
Yeah.
like
Yeah, there was a lot of thought, I think, more into the production and the design of all these places, probably over the story.
Yeah.
Like they kind of came up with the story like, all right, was shake it up a bit. This new guy comes in, tries to make his own toys, and they go from there. But then they're like, I really want to make it look a certain way and feel a certain way, and it does feel like that. When did this come out again? 80?
92.
92.
Yep.
So probably in production in the 80s.
Yeah.
And
Least
so
in
like
development.
they're getting out of, well, I think with this production size,
89 probably.
and all
because
the-
they're just
the-
getting out of communism.
we were talking about how much it cost to get that one room that had the walls that caved in.
Yeah.
That was a pretty like ingenuity like
Yeah.
driven
And like
room.
you said, you could tell they probably spent a lot of money on that because they focused on that.
Yeah, and it was a
And
big part of
shots
it.
Well,
Yeah.
and just
While other stuff was
like
happening.
the size that the room started in to the size that it ended in,
Yeah.
that being able to change by somebody just activating something is impressive enough.
And it was so
But then there was like the transitionary
slow.
periods where there were, like you said, like tetraminos, like shapes that would advance out of the walls, and then other ones would come up behind it, and then behind it, and it kind of cascaded until the very end when they all like
Formed together.
collided and like
Yep.
regrouped together in the smaller shape. And it was like
So stuff like
amount of
that-
physical effort to build all of that, as well as the planning, is that and it, for that entire sequence must
The
have
blocking and everything. Yeah.
blocking the actual physical shooting of it.
That's
like,
why it had to be like
one-
not exposition or anything. They were just talking about a mundane, like asinine, all this
But-
puke that
but
we're
it
coming up
was-
There's
with.
so many moving parts, literally.
But it was
There is.
advancing the plot in the idea of the general needs more and more
More
and more
space.
space to like
Yeah.
show you to the nth degree
Yep.
of what that means.
That's why it was just there to like show characters being forced out of their job or
Yep.
being constricted in their duties,
Yep.
so the general could do more of his own thing.
But it's also kind of like just another opportunity for comedy because it's fake puke. They're having all these lines of, oh, maybe we should put a P or a carrot like right there.
Yep.
They've got all these creative names like, oh, well, we added okra to this pile of puke, so now we call it the Bible Belch.
Yep, and then
They called the Wyatt Earp.
That-
Then they added the Wyatt Burp. Wyatt something like that.
yeah, and then there's the
It's
Then we added the okra, so now we call it the Bible Belch.
Wolfgang Chuck or something like
Wolfgang
that.
Chuck,
Chuck,
yeah. Wow.
The duck sauce.
Broadshaw loved the joke, which I did too, when he's like in the car coming onto Robin Wright, and she's like, I don't remember, she says something like, why are you always around me? You're like, what are you doing out here? And he pulls the puppets like, want to get laid.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was, he offers her a ride, and she's just like, "Well, what do you like? What do you?
Why do you care so
Why
much?
do you care? What do you get out of it? Want to get laid?" Pulls
Yeah.
up a little devil fucking puppet.
Yep.
That's one of the moments that I was talking about, where like, up to that point for a while, it's all real innocent and whatever, and then all of a sudden, want to get laid. I was just
Yeah.
like, oh
It's
yeah.
not like I wouldn't call it
It's not
an
nefarious.
adult movie, but it's certainly not
Yeah.
like
No, and that was such a
100%
quick
kid
quick
appropriate.
line. No kid's gonna pick up on like, what did he say? Like, oh, it's just a little devil. That was weird.
and also like
We find a lot of that when you're a kid, like, you'll watch even like adult movies, and you
Yeah.
have no idea what they're talking about.
Yep.
yeah, then there's the scene of romance later on where it's not like really even anything inappropriate. It's some
No.
soft like.
She
clothes
takes off
removal,
her
like,
bra.
She takes off her top and you see her in her bra.
You see her naked back.
Yeah, you say
And
her
you're naked back, and
Until,
then
until she throws the bra onto fucking Gummo.
Little Gummo.
yeah, we nicknamed one of the little robot surveillance camera guys Gummo.
If you've never seen the movie, picture a tiny robot
In a trench coat, in a
in
fedora.
a trench coat and fedora.
Yep,
And he just like
little red eyes.
walks around the room and
Yep.
spies on people.
We had a conversation earlier. I was like, Gummo just sounds like a detective. It sounds like
Hard-boiled detective.
Ineffective,
like
but
Columbo
hard-boiled,
and
like-
Gumshoe mixed together.
Yep.
As we were discussing the movie Gummo for a second.
Yeah, and there's, I think one of the other things that the colonel or general was making was that weird bioweapon, the hog,
Sea swine.
sea swine,
That
and then
was his big like be all end all.
It was
right.
like
But the other
it was
ones
like
he was
biotech,
making
'cause
big
it was like-
gummos.
It was living, but also a robot.
It wasn't living. It was just a robot that
just
looked
looked alive.
like fucking weird. At the
It's-
very end,
yeah.
it
It was
was
like,
like
a giant sea slug.
peeking up under the set of Manhattan. It kind of had like you could see like the front of like a rounded kind of like
Yep.
snout. It almost looked like Barney or something.
Or hippo.
That's what I was gonna
Looked
say.
like
Yeah,
a hippo.
The
yeah.
standard like hippo, dinosaur,
But it had, like, the big
dragon,
blue eyes.
little.
Yep.
And then the guns
Big
came out of
nose.
its like nostrils. I think
Yeah,
it was kind
on
of
the
dark.
side
but-
right here.
Yeah, we should talk about some of the other toys when
Creepy
they had
shit.
that fight and LL Cool J
LL
looking
Cool
at
J.
the babies.
Yeah, running down an aisle.
Dolly
then
and
all of a
Bolly.
sudden, yeah,
Are
a
the-
ball comes bouncing down behind him, and then which looked good for it being CG at the time.
Yeah.
When it was in motion.
And then it stops, and then all of a sudden a fucking little dolly type girl comes waddling around the corner, and you're like, I don't like that. And then the ball opens up, and there's a little fucking big-eyed fucking girl
Thing with the
inside
guitar?
with
Yeah.
the uke.
So the
Yeah.
ball like inverts basically and unfurls and becomes her like hula skirt, and then she
Yeah.
like side dances to him and
Yep.
strokes the ukulele. And
We were saying it slowly goes back and forth of like one-upping of like, ooh, I don't like that. Ooh, I don't like that. Because then like, yeah, that happens, and then the ball opens. You're like, oh, that sucks. And then it goes back to that other girl, and then like her fucking head splits open, and this blue mean genie looking thing pops
red
out.
eyes and like a mean like
then,
a look.
Yeah, and then like a fucking Blastoise cannon comes out of his fucking
Mouth.
Mouth. The mouth like has to warp
Yeah.
around it. It's crazy.
Progressively, just like, oh, this sucks. Oh, this sucks.
Wow,
oh,
that is
that
genuinely horrifying.
sucks. Yeah.
And then yeah, the idea around that was like, are these toys like were they made that way, or there's like
See, that's I.
there's
wondered
a
that
there's
as
a
kid,
subtle
too.
like underlining thing where like these toys
Have personalities.
maybe are like
Slightly sentient.
becoming more sentient, or maybe
You saw that in the toy fight at the end. They had reactions and shit.
yeah, they were reacting to stuff, and then
It was just
they
supposed
kind
to
of
be, like,
drive it home with
evocative.
the girl. I don't remember her name, but Joan Cusack.
Yeah, Joan Cusack ends up.
She
being
becomes
a-
like she has a personality, but she is a toy.
Yeah.
That's.
Ooh, I have to say it. I just fucking hate her.
I guess that's there in the most like
Yeah.
lightest shades of sentience and all this kind of stuff. But it was more.
It is,
It was more of just like
but you can't think like those toys were created to like have big cannons come out of
yes,
their
they
mouth.
were. There
Those
was one,
ones?
It was one of two
Those ones
things. Yes, it was one of two things in my mind from watching this so much as a kid. I
So
have
probably
that
his
same
early
question.
war toys.
It was
Oh.
Went on.
it was one of two things. He either created these earlier on to have
Mm-hmm.
things that look because like remember the mom pushing the baby.
Yeah.
All three
Oh, yeah.
of these things start out looking completely innocuous and like a classical like joyous toy.
Yeah.
Then it turns into something fucked up that can kill you. So
Maybe it's like baby's first war toy.
he either made
Yes.
made those first and they were prototypes, or he just took the old toys and kind of modified them.
I think
just a
that's what
little
he
bit
did.
as a test.
No, I think
and
that's
then
what he did.
made his tanks and stuff. So that's why they were so very
Yeah.
fucked up, is that they weren't like
'Cause they were the
meant
old
for
style
combat.
toys.
Yep.
He was just seeing
They were
what
the
worked.
tin toys.
Like
Yeah.
all their other old shit.
Yeah,
Did you guys ever have any of those tin toys?
I've
Saw
seen
some
them.
old
I
ones
haven't
at my
owned them.
grandparents' house back.
I have. We got one from an antique store that was the classic Mama Duck, Baby Ducks that you
Oh,
pull and they like kind of waddle together.
They had
Those
that
are all
in this-
tin. Oh, they did.
For the duck crossing when when him and the general were
Oh yeah, yeah,
on
yeah.
this and the guy held up the sign, it said duck crossing, and then
Yeah.
those got pulled like from one mouse hole in the wall
Yep,
across
okay.
the path and then in another one.
We have something similar to that, and then we have the have you seen that toy that you push down a plunger?
Yep.
And it kind of spins
Yep.
the top? That's a tin toy that we have.
I had one like that wasn't a top. It was a standing thing that you push down on it, and it was like, you know those fair rides where it's basically just a tower with a disc at the top that it hangs stuff from it, and as it spins, those kind of just like go out a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was basically just a tin representation of that, and then I had a similar one of more like merry-go-round that you pushed like a horizontal lever on the bottom, and as you push the arm, it turned the gears inside, and that made it spin on the top. And all.
Gotcha.
This movie was interesting in one way because it had a big scale and a small scale at the same time. Like, I think one theme of this movie, at least, like, not in the story so much, but like visually, is a dichotomy of like big and small. Because the story itself, in the broadest strokes, is very much like a big story. General taking over his dead brother's
It seems
company
like Shakespearean almost.
with a son who's not ready to take up the mantle.
Yep.
And a sister who's like
The king has
slightly
died.
odd, and so at the very end you actually have war going on.
It is.
And-
It is a lot like a medieval type. Like king dies, evil brother takes over.
Lion King kind of thing.
Yeah,
Or,
good son has to come back. Yeah, Lion King.
and
And The Lion King's based off Shakespeare too.
Yeah,
But
so
then-
it's very Shakespearean.
Yeah.
like that's when you're looking at it really kind of in one lens. But then if you just step back and take a look at the whole thing, it's toys versus toys in one room of a factory. So it's actually pretty small and contained, and even the subjects of the war are really small and diminutive.
They do
Yeah.
a good job of making it feel big.
They do.
The way they shot it.
They do. Like,
Yeah, they do.
you really
Corpses on the ground.
God, yeah, fluff and gears
Yeah.
and shit. You really do feel like this factory is like pretty fucking big. Like,
Oh yeah.
You
Like
see
it's
it from the
it's
outside, it's big.
it seems yeah, the perspective that you
seems like that's
see.
not even the full picture. Even maybe like there's just like more and more little section of building connected all over.
Well, was
Who
the
knows?
map that they kept showing like it looked like the Pentagon?
Well,
That was the.
Is that the layout?
Restricted area.
I think
That was just the
like,
restricted
in
area.
Yeah, the restricted area where he was doing.
They were in that labyrinth. They were just going nuts, trying to figure their way out of it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's-
the layout was kind of weird because I'd like to believe that the factory looks small on the outside, but it's like on the inside it's
TARDIS.
huge. Yeah, like there's a bunch of corridors and
Yeah.
random places to hide in.
Yeah,
A bunch of rooms that don't make sense.
duplication room.
Yeah,
No,
duplication.
duplicating room.
Where it's just a bunch of
Where it
reams
makes
of
it sound
paper.
like the room itself duplicates.
Yeah.
Every
And
time
there's-
you leave the room, one more room appears.
Yeah, how many other rooms can you name? There's the factory floor where the happy workers are working.
The duck room.
Restricted
The duck
area.
room.
Okay, so
The
let me-
office.
Let me run through in my head.
Duck room's in the house though.
Reception room, office, two different offices actually.
Yeah.
The first one where he meets with the whirly hat. The second one with the big glass window.
That looks out onto the stage of the
Yep.
city.
Manhattan room.
Yeah. Factory floor.
Factory floor, up down room, sea swine room, tent, house,
Yeah, like the dining
Outside.
room, the living room, the
duplicating room,
And then the restricted area with the labyrinth.
a couple different restricted area places.
couple- yeah,
That's
'cause it was
warehouse.
restricted area, and then it
basically
was
it.
the fucking sea swine room.
The closing in
and
doors
then there was
room.
the extra
Closing in doors
restricted or
room.
whatever. Yeah,
But that's basically it.
and then there was the video game. Did we see the video?
Oh,
That's in the
yeah,
restricted
Video
area.
game room.
Video
Yeah.
game room.
A movie of rooms.
Yeah, a lot
And
of
then
really
there was a
unique
couple
rooms.
outside shots.
And I liked how those places didn't feel like they were in the same place.
No.
Like I thought like one of the closing in door room, I was like, hey, this is kind of interesting. And they were in like lab coats and they were doing their
Did you say
science.
the cafeteria?
Cafeteria.
Cafeteria too. That was also being closed in on.
It-
But there's just a lot of cool
this movie doesn't really like.
stuff in there. But not whole lot that would keep me like wanting to come back to it.
Still thinking of
the,
rooms.
The exorcism bathroom, the
Yep.
fucking possession bathroom. This movie is unique to me in a way that it falls into a category of some other movies that fall into this where they like don't really leave you with anything. They don't leave you with an emotion, an idea, a theme. It just kind of like happens and then
An
it's over.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And while you're in it, you're like reacting to all these things visually, like the performances, the dialogue. There's all these different things to kind of take in. But
Yeah, there's
then
some nuance to that.
by the
too.
time that it's over, you're just like, okay, well,
Huh?
that is over. We're gonna go back to life now.
Yeah.
Easily digestible, but it's like
Filled with really not easily digestible.
Really
yeah,
bizarre.
It's thick with two C's.
Thick. It's thick.
Thick.
Yeah, there's a lot to this movie, but what would you say? I know they didn't really mention it. They might have. I might have just not heard it, but do you think this movie could like be set at any time?
Yeah.
Like it's not specifically said like this movie takes place at this time.
It's definitely after the fall of the Berlin Wall and like communism. and
Yeah,
shit.
he says
That's
that much.
it.
Yeah, but then it's like
any
after that
cars-
it could take place in 2020.
Everything, even real life objects in the movie, have the aesthetic of being a toy. Because remember the ambulance at the very beginning that takes him away?
Yeah.
It had like a design of like an old fashioned ambulance, and it also had a pinwheel on
He
the
does
top
talk
of it.
Yeah.
about he does talk
And-
about being in Korea and Vietnam though.
No,
The
but I'm saying
cars-
that's in the past though. He's talking about stuff that happened in the past, but like after that it could the idea
This
of
movie,
this
it, like,
can take place in the
Within
future.
this world that doesn't have a year on it. It just kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
it's nebulous.
I was just saying because
he-
that dates him to be.
it dates him,
that
but
old.
like
Oh,
the events and
forgot a
everything
room.
seem like they can happen anytime.
The room they built in the field with green skeletons in it.
Green skeleton room.
Yeah,
Also
That-
the van.
just like the modular room that they just bring out into the wilderness.
That
Security.
room, like the actual design of those walls, feels very, really like super early 2000s.
Yeah,
Like polished metal with a couple of like lines for accent, and then like there was like a green thing in the middle.
yeah, I kind of remember that. But yeah, they had Tori Amos do the songs.
Tori Amos, I don't
She was
know.
big in them early '90s.
She was, and I think LL Cool J
Yep.
did a little bit of that Hap Hap like remix, didn't he?
Hap, 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 hap. I didn't hear him in the song.
No,
You mean just like
maybe
DJing it,
he
like,
maybe
producing
DJ'd it, yeah, or oversaw like its
He's not DJ.
production. Like he's knowledgeable enough to
Out
like
of
make it
anybody
seem
who's
like
on
a
that staff who might know anything about making something from happy workers to hap 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 hap. He'd probably be the person
music
closest to it.
producer,
That's what I said.
The person who was the composer. of
Hap
the
hap
songs.
hap 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 happy.
anything else to
He's a
say?
rapist.
Is this something that you are like? If you never knew this existed and then you watched it just now, would you be glad that you had been exposed to it? Glad that you saw
Yeah,
it?
I'm happy for the performances in it.
It was visually a treat.
It was a
Yeah.
visual spectacle. I mean, like you said, I wouldn't. It doesn't like want me to take anything away from it, other than that. You know what? Those are really cool sets. I'm kind of interested in how they did that. That's probably the extent of I
Right.
dive
You
into
can
it.
Tell
Yeah.
with the movie
Yeah.
too, like the story's kind of secondary.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
No, yeah, that's what I was
It's,
saying.
it's
the
down,
characters
it's down
and
to
the-
performance,
Yeah.
the sets,
And
the
what it looks
characters,
like.
and yeah,
Exactly.
You get the story right off the bat, but you just want to see how it plays out.
the scene with the sound jacket.
Yep. I can
that's
thank you,
fun.
baby.
Thank you, baby. I kind of like though that it doesn't leave you with anything. That it is just like, but what we just commented on. It's like more of a lighter movie experience. You know, it's not something like Avatar or even all these other like bigger budget, like bigger movies where it is more of like a burden on your eyes or something, or it's more there's more to dive into, or there's more to question or think about, but it's just real easy, simple watch.
It is.
You don't need to get stressed about anything. Well, I guess you can get stressed about Joan Rivers' performance.
No, Joan Cusack.
No, Joan Rivers.
No. Jim Cusack.
Who are you wearing? I love who you're wearing. Is it the
Oh my,
Nutcracker?
oh my god.
Oh my god, is
I
it the
just-
Nutcracker?
Yeah, that's the thing. I just don't like Joan Cusack.
I'm not really a big John Cusack guy.
I don't hate him, but yeah, he doesn't do anything
What
for me
about
either.
David Cusack?
I don't know.
I don't know who that is.
I don't think anybody does because he's not a real person.
You're just thinking about a David Cusack somewhere in the
I
world.
just thought, what about David Cusack?
Might as
How do
well.
you think he's doing?
I don't know.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you.
Well, I picked the movie this time.
Sure.
I have my next choice in mind, so if you guys don't...
Oh boy, I have a bunch of stuff you guys have to see.
Well, we have you to thank for things like House and Naked Lunch and
Repo Man,
Repo Man.
Mac and Me.
I don't think Bradshaw really been
You're
vocal
welcome.
about
For
a
the ride
choice
so
here,
far.
but
You're welcome.
I'm
You liked which ones like of my picks have you like thought were kind of like I wouldn't watch it again
not really any of them, to be honest with you.
because
Some of them-
I really liked when we all have seen like Speed Racer, and we dove head first into that and got really lore driven with like what its meaning is and the allegory and
Just got in there.
See, my contributions are Popeye, Clue, Rockadoodle,
this seems
Tenth Kingdom.
seems like a nostalgia trip like for you, not like a guys you really should watch this film. It's just like
No, that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
It's the things that I've watched in my past. There are a lot of examples of I really have not met a lot of other people
I think
that
Bradshaw
have
needs to
volunteered the information
pick
that they've
a
seen
thing
it,
to watch.
or that they have just seen it themselves.
Jet Li's The One.
I'm down.
I'll watch it. I've seen
down.
it a bunch, but I'd
I
watch
think
it.
I think that.
Cut my life in two
I
pieces.
think either that or Mission Impossible 2 or both of them were my first DVDs I ever bought.
Fucking, I love Mission Impossible 2, dude.
I love when he goes, I am you, Law. I'm nobody's bitch. You are mine. And then he fights and that song kicks in. He's like, cut my life in two pieces.
When,
I think
when
I've
the-
maybe seen
It's the prison
one-
world that he
Yes.
goes
When
to
the-
at the end.
When the bad Jet Li, like, picks up the motorcycle and just, like, fucking douches the dude.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that'll be for another date. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, our
So-
discussion of toys.
Quick little tidbit before we pop out here.
Yeah.
Director of this movie, Barry Levinson.
Yep. He wrote it too.
Yeah, so he...
Where do I know that name from?
He did...
He's done a bunch of stuff.
Good Morning Vietnam
Mm-hmm.
with Robin Williams. As
Yep.
well. Did Rain Man.
Yep.
He did Toys. Wag the Dog.
What
Yep.
was the first one? Sorry.
Good Morning Vietnam.
Okay, yeah. Wag the Dog. Okay.
Wag the Dog. I mean, there's other ones he's done, but
Interesting
he did
filmography.
Envy, the fucking Ben Stiller, Jack Black comedy film from 2000.
Vaporize.
He did Man of the Year also with Robin Williams.
Robin
Yeah,
Williams.
wow, yeah, he's worked with Robin Williams quite a bit.
But yeah, that's just a little smattering of what he's done. He's done a lot more, but I mean, those are the movies you probably knew.
Or you've maybe seen in
Like
passing.
off top, like there may be some within here where you look at them and be like, oh yeah, but you don't necessarily get it from the title.
Who do you think was in this cast that like looks back on this as one of their brightest shining achievements or their like one of their biggest moments?
One of their biggest moments. Probably
Or it just it
Hogan
just
Stern.
holds a like
Hogan Stern for sure.
Joan
special
Cusack.
place in their memory.
A special
of their
place.
career.
It's hard to say.
I'd say Hogan Stern quite possibly because he
Yeah.
got featured.
Yeah,
in
he
the,
did.
in the movie for
Yeah.
being like however many people were shown on screen
Yeah.
throughout the entire runtime. He got some good call outs and some screen time to himself, so
I'd say so. Yeah.
shut it down, Hogan Stern.
Let's just say Hogan Stern then.
Shut it down, Hogan Stern.
Because I see everything that these people have been in since this.
I mean,
And I'm
Robin
like-
Wright didn't go anywhere, obviously.
But like she looks back on probably the Princess Bride being like that was more whimsical and much better, like a better situation.
A lot less babies whose heads split open to reveal a smaller, angrier, bluer baby
with a cannon in
with a
its
cannon
mouth.
in its mouth. Yeah.
Yep. And you'll just have to watch the film to understand how fucked up that visual is.
I kind of don't like the ending, to be honest. Like the war with the toys, it all just falls really flat.
There was too much of that. Like they were kind of padding time with that war.
for sure. It goes way too long.
There's a lot of things that
should
go a
be
little
over.
too
Lingering
long.
on things for a little too long.
That's what I think.
And it shave off somewhere 5 to 10 minutes between there on that ending. Just speed up that process. Maybe give us a little bit more reconciliation between Leland and Leslie.
Yeah.
Because
That would be nice too.
would be
He
nice
just gets
because
shot.
He's not like totally unsympathetic.
Right.
He is kind of trying to like find his way and do what he thinks is right, but
Yeah.
by the end we just see him, like he said, he's white now. He's just in a white like get up, sitting in the
Hospital bed next to his daddy.
He was injured and he salutes, and that's it. Like, so is he still part of the business, or like what?
Did they recreate him with the robot parts?
Oh, because I mean, no, you bring up a fucking great point, because, oh my God, you're peeling back the onion.
Yeah.
100%. Oh my God, Tyler, you've blown it wide open. We're going for another 10 minutes at least.
Sure, I'll let you go.
Here we go. Alsatia is a robot. Spoilers, in the movie, Joan Cusack, her character's Alsatia. In the end, you find out that she's a robot. She gets shot by the sea swine. Boom, head comes off. Bracho got a lot of enjoyment out of that because,
oh yeah,
A, his disdain for
a
the
big
woman,
clap, just bam,
and B, he fucking called it. He said, "Well, why can't her head get blown off?" And then about
he said it
5
just like
minutes
that.
later, boom. So, what if a lot of other people in this movie are robots and we just don't know it? Like,
Yeah, it's Westworld.
the plans for her building this robot are in the safe of the dad. So what if at the end of the movie, when we see the general in white, what if he's a robot?
Yeah.
What if the general's dad, who has got to be like
Immortal.
90 something, 100, yeah, what if he's a robot? Because how has he been sticking around this whole time?
Yep. Even the nurse could be a
Because
robot.
Robin Williams is like 40 something, so his grandfather
Yep.
has got to, and Alsatia, like the only person that I maybe buy being completely real throughout is Robin Wright,
Yep.
Owens,
Yep.
and Jamie Foxx.
Sure. Yeah.
But like, what if the reason that this feels so isolated and dreamlike is because it is isolated? It's a quarantine testing area or facility where they build all these robots. It's like us or something like that.
Yep.
Where it's like clones, or like they build robots that are supposed to operate and be like people, but they're all weird. They're all kooky and crazy.
Yep.
One thinks he's a 3-star general. We got him to think that.
One thinks they're like the aide to the higher up, or whatever that character guy with the glasses that was kind of,
Owens?
was he the gray suit guy? The old man?
Yeah.
Okay. And then yeah, so he could just be like, that's his
Who else would go to work every day? And
that's his
put
prime
on-
directive, is to like lead the or help the leader, be like there
What if
for
he's
the
a human there to help orchestrate and make sure that things are running like day to day? That
Maybe.
the robots are where they're supposed to be doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah,
What
there's
if
a
the
lot of
dad, like Leslie's dad in the very beginning with the beanie hat, was a robot as well, and he wasn't dying. His power source was dying. And
that
that's why
beacon thing on the top.
the
His
light-
battery was going dead.
His battery's going dead. The beanie was winding
He
down
said pacemaker.
slowly.
The guy, like
His
Owens,
pacemaker.
he said Owen said like his pacemaker is connected to his hat.
He had the light up shoes.
Yep.
I mean,
The possibilities
Come
with
on.
this are pretty fun.
come on now.
Yeah, you can go with the AI, Android,
Where did
because it's
Like-
really, this movie is like prolific. It like, or prophetic. It's kind of hinting at what the future is for video games and what it does to children's mindsets, them being hand-eye coordinated, because
Yeah.
that is a proven fact. Like your hand-eye coordination with video games is perfect for that.
yeah?
And training kids at a young age to fly drones in the military setting, that could come true in some form. That we already do fly drones with military stuff.
Do you think then that Barry Levinson like has a special affinity for old style toys, like the tin style? Because
Maybe.
with the war toys and the newer toys that were being brought in as like the new generation, were kind of villainized,
Yeah.
or, like demonized a little bit, especially video games to some
Yep.
degree. There, maybe you could see that message in this, where it's like, no, you don't need the new things that are coming out. We've had old stuff that works just fine. Like The reason we played fucking stickball and kicked the can is that like we only had that shit, and that shit was all we needed.
Depression, yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to find different avenues because, for the most part, this movie's pretty vanilla. Like, well, you know what I mean?
Kind
Where,
of.
Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't achieve great heights, and it doesn't.
It stays in
meet
like
obstacles.
It
Like,
stays in like
just-
the comfortable middle ground of all
It
that.
stays in the comfortable middle ground, but it goes a lot of places in that middle ground. Like it.
Oh, yeah.
With its art direction, just with everything, and like the kind of fucked up shit that happens in the movie.
Yeah, it's kind of like Willy Wonka, but for toys.
Yeah, it like a no serious issues adult movie Willy Wonka a little bit.
Yeah, because
A
it does.
little bit.
Willy Wonka gets dark if you look at it. Like, yeah, he's basically like almost murdering these children, and in this, it's like, yeah, people seem to at least die, or there could be the dark side of what we were thinking of, is that we're led to believe that they're humans, but they could be androids or AI.
We also got great captions in this movie.
Yep.
Whistle toots.
Whistle toots.
There's
Bedlam.
a lot of like onomatopoeia.
Bedlam. Instead of medic, the general yells Bedlam.
Yeah, he gets drunk and then he pulls out a pistol and he's trying to shoot a fly in his office, and then he's
Shot his
kicks up his
toes.
feet. He sees the fly on his foot. He's like, "Oh shit!" And shoots his own fucking foot. And he yells in the movie. He yells like "Medic!" And they like fade out. But the caption said Bedlam. I was like, I don't know about that.
I wouldn't be yelling that when I shot my foot off.
It is
That's
Bedlam though.
Some of my
Yeah, it is crazy Bedlam.
That's some of my favorite things when watching movies is just the wrong subtitles. They just fuck it up.
Happened a few times in this movie, I noticed.
Yeah.
But
Well,
there's
that's
like animals, like the peacock toy at the end. They
Yeah.
gave it like subtitles that were like wargle wargle wargle.
Wargle, wargle.
And the helicopter
Wob,
was
wob,
like,
wob.
chop chop chop.
Yep.
And it was just like, wow, somebody's job was to sit down and type these things and time them.
I wouldn't do that.
I would. Are you kidding me?
I'd do a better job than that person.
I would do
for
a
sure.
better job than that person.
I wouldn't put Bedlam.
I would.
I'd put
prop-
Bedlam when like the fucking people are singing that Christmas song at the beginning,
Parentheses. Bedlam.
or when the gingerbread gets his present. I'd be like Bedlam.
Bedlam.
That gingerbread kid was going hard though.
Well, that's our thoughts on toys.
Boys, see it for
Toys.
yourself or don't.
Yeah, if you want to get really into it, just, I mean, go in thinking of what if everybody's a robot.
Yeah.
Imagine us with the toys VHS in hand, and then we move it like along a dirt terrain. We crash it through a wall of clear cubes, and then we're like, yeah! Like it's a toy. Like the toy commercials where they
Yeah.
would move them through the little terrain.
The
and, like,
dumb cubes, yeah.
crash them through those clear
Where do we
cubes.
get those
And
cubes?
the kids would have them pose in a certain way so that when they crashed through the wall, all
Yeah.
the kids would like, it would show the kids' faces and they'd be like, yeah!
Then you'd shoot like Nerf darts at it, and like they would fall.
Nerf dirt.
Sure, Nerf Dirt's on it?
Have you ever shit Nerf darts?
Have I told you, Eric, about a young lady named Shirkina?
All right, we'll leave that for another day.
Sure,
Hope you
Pete.
guys enjoyed this.
The next Reel to Real, Hell's Kitchen.
We'll be right back with more movies in the future.
Bye, people. You're so pretty. I love you.
Say goodbye, Eric.
Fucking fine. Bye,
Don't
guys.
forget to brush your teeth and call your mother. Call